that is kind of what brings us to a book that I wanted to talk a little bit about today. And this book is a very quick read. It's a very interesting read. I looked for it on Amazon. I think it's available in some digital version. It's also available for free. If you just Google this book for free, you can find it. It is called Battle Leadership. And it's by a guy named Captain Adolph von Schell, who was in the German army. And to give you a little information on Captain von Schell and why he has this sort of phenomenal insight into war, let me tell you a little bit about him. This is from the foreword of the book. He entered the Imperial German Army a few years prior to the outbreak of the World War. So this was written in the 30s when there was no Second World War. The mobilization in 1914 found him on the Belgian frontier in command of an infantry platoon. In October of 1914, he took part in several battles which occurred during the historic Race to the Sea. And again, if you watch hardcore, if you listen to hardcore history, you will hear all about that. In one of these, he received the first of several wounds the World War was to bring him, and he was sent home. In February of 1915, he returned to duty, and he was a company commander. There, under Hindenburg, his company marched and fought in meter-deep snow in a series of engagements known historically as the Winter Battles of the Masurian Lakes, in which over 100,000 prisoners were taken. From July to October of the same year, he took part in the gigantic Austro-German assault of the Polish salient, which was climaxed by the fall of Warsaw. Following this, the German drive to the east was carried the young officer into Russia as far as the Bersina River. This summer, filled with endless marches and repeated engagements, gave him a wide experience in the open warfare tactics of small units. In 1916, Captain von Schell, still in the east, operating in close conjunction with the Austrians in an effort to stop the Brusilov steamroller. In 1970, his division was transferred to the Romanian front, where von Schell took part in a number of engagements in the higher altitude of the Carpathians. In 1918, the war carried the author into its bypaths, the Ukraine, the Crimea, and the Caucasus. The armistice found him operating against the Bolsheviks. After the war was over, he stayed in the army. He was in all kinds of different positions as he stayed, and he ended up actually in between. After World War I, he came to America and went to Fort Benning, Georgia, and went through airborne school, which is an American Army school. And this is where this volume, this information developed from, because while he was going through airborne school, he taught a bunch of classes. And the reason he was selected to teach all these classes is summarized pretty well, again, in the foreword from the book. There is probably no officer in our Army who has participated in so many widely varying types of military operations as Captain von Schell. His knowledge of war was gained firsthand in meeting engagements, advanced guard battles, rear guard actions, night attacks, guerrilla warfare, mountain fighting, in which he took part. He has run the entire gamut of tactical experience, from pursuit to withdrawal, from an assault on permanent fortifications to a major offensive in the rigors of a Russian winter. There is no page of his story, as set forth in these lectures, that is not worthy of study by American officers. And I will say this. Yes, he is extremely experienced. Obviously, I mean, just an incredible amount of battle experience, especially in World War I, where the casualty rate was so absolutely crazy. But also, and perhaps more importantly, and you'll see this as soon as we get into his writings, is he had an incredible mind for war. and an incredible mind for leadership. And I think that is what makes him so impressive and what makes this writing so important.